great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Now this brings us to our second method of proof. If we can't go to space, we could simply sail anywhere towards Antarctica, towards the southern hemisphere, and eventually we're going to hit the edge of the known universe, the firmament, or whatever's out there. Could there be more land? We don't know. But we could go prove for ourselves by circumnavigating north to south. The only problem is no one's allowed to do this. The Antarctic Treaty prevents it. You can take a guided tour. They'll take you to a fake South Pole and tell you, okay, this is where it is. But independent exploration is prohibited. It's guarded heavily by the military. You can't just go to Antarctica and check it out for yourself. Antarctica has effectively been off limits since December of 1959, and this was signed into law and agreed upon by over 50 countries. That should raise a little bit of concern. Why would a icy continent be off limits? Well, that's something we may never find out. Admiral Richard Byrd, one of the first people to really explore Antarctica, came back making bizarre claims of resources and in a time when Antarctica would be highly sought after by other nations. He also talked about unexplored land beyond the South Pole.
Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Okay, so we can't personally go high enough to see this planet or sail far enough away to see if there is an end to this Earth or some land beyond Antarctica, but we do have a chance to watch rockets launch. They go up all the time. You can watch these rocket launches that seem to be happening more and more, but you have to wonder why they're taking this curved path and they're not going straight up. Now the official answer is they're taking some curve with gravity, and there always will be some cover story for why they can't go straight up. But the big question is, why are we now stuck in low Earth orbit? We seem to get past it multiple times during the Apollo missions. The moon is well beyond low Earth orbit, but now we're stuck, and NASA will tell you for themselves.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Any ill effects from the Van Allen radiation belts?
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. Maybe we did.
The belts are 1,000 miles to 25,000 miles above the Earth.
Then we went right out through them.
No effects on your cells?
Didn't even know it. I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody said you went through the radiation belt, but we didn't feel it inside.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
This next generation spacecraft will enable America to explore beyond low Earth orbit.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
So what about the proofs we were actually given for this Earth being a globe other than pictures in NASA? One of those, the first that I recall, is boats going over the curvature.
As ships sail away, they don't disappear all at once. No, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off a table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science. Now, if you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience. The difference between pseudoscience and regular science is whether or not you can test it. The flat Earth, well, that didn't stand up to tests. The round Earth did. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. The world is round.
Now this seems legit. Boats do appear to disappear bottom up and go over a curvature at a pretty relatively short distance, which would make sense if the Earth is indeed a ball. The only problem with this theory is when you take a high zoom camera, a telescope, or something with high zoom capabilities, you can bring back a boat that has appeared to vanish. All right, we have optical limits to how far we can see certain objects. Not to mention atmospheric lensing. Your atmosphere will act like a lens. And you can test and repeat this on a very flat surface with a camera yourself. You will see objects appear optically to disappear bottom up, just like they're going over a curvature, but you can demonstrate this on a flat surface. It's testable and it's repeatable.
Science!
Another big proof we were given was our sun, which it does appear to be going over the curve of the Earth, and we're told that's because we're falling backwards because of our rotation as we orbit the sun. But once you realize the sun is a local light, it's the exact same size as our moon above. That's why they line up perfectly on an eclipse. It's not because of the coincidence that one's just 400 times larger but also 400 times farther away. It's a much closer light and it's much smaller. Now you would think, because of all the false models we're given of this flat earth theory, that it would just always be daylight or you should always be able to see the sun. But it's much closer and much smaller, so when it moves away from your line of sight, it follows the known laws of perspective. And it has to follow these laws because as objects that are, even if they're high up, as they get further away, they appear lower and lower, and eventually you're going to see it vanish due to perspective and the fact that our atmosphere isn't transparent. It might be clear for certain distances, but eventually everything's going to fade out. You can find time-lapse footage of the sun doing just this. You can see it, and then all of a sudden it fades out and appears to vanish. That's because it is traveling through an atmosphere that is not transparent 100%, and it is taking its local light with it. Perhaps the greatest trick of all was convincing us that we are simply another planet. We all learned the planets in school, we had songs, we built solar system models, and when we looked up and saw these lights in the sky, we assumed that we were simply a light in someone else's sky. It was a really good trick because that is the one that most people go to. How are we not round if other planets are round and we are assuming these lights to be other planets? But when they send us these images of other planets, you have to read the fine print and wonder why they rely so heavily on CGI.
Over the years, NASA has given us spectacular photos and renderings that reveal a colorful and mysterious universe.
In a small, bright office, working side by side,
let's see,
Robert Hurt and Tim Pyle bring the universe to life.
What we're doing does have real science underlying it.
Tim, once a Hollywood animator, is now a planet illustrator. Together, they produce some of NASA's most popular images.
And this is sort of how it comes to me. And then
many of those images have a dark, grainy start, but color and light reveal an astonishing glimpse of how the deepest regions of space might appear to the human eye. It's a delicate blend of imagination and data. The artists meet with NASA scientists over many drafts to ensure a planet or galaxy look lines up with the research to make each one as accurate as possible.
I love the challenge. It's kind of like a puzzle to me of trying to create something that looks really cool within the restrictions that were given by the scientists.
It can take days, even weeks, to produce just a single image. The dazzling final results, enough to keep us all dreaming of the final frontier for years to come.
And while NASA struggles to get consistent photos or videos of our planet, they have no problem sending us HD images from Mars. We're expected to just believe these are legitimate. Now there is one final thing we can do. Given the known circumference of Earth, we could simply measure these things for ourselves. And people have been doing this. They have been going out over large bodies of water and large areas of land and measuring to check for curvature. And what we have found simply is that we see too far. We see far, far beyond what the globe math should allow us to see. The current record holder for the longest line-of-sight photograph captured mountain ranges were 275 miles away. They should have been at the given height and distance nearly 4,000 feet below the line of sight.
This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage.
As we find ourselves on an Earth much different than we ever imagined, it brings us back to this upcoming deception, this final card, and what it's truly all about.
We are dealing with a huge, probably the most important deception on humanity. What I'm telling you is there's a cover-up about disinformation, and has been, by the top researchers that you people rely on to hear the truth from. Over the next 10 years, I have now worked with over 400 cases of people that have been able to stop the abduction experience in the name and authority of Jesus Christ. These are entities masquerading as high technological aliens, but they can be defeated by one name.
And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
The new world order. A new world order.
A new world order.
There's no way for us to know exactly where this alien deception is heading, but one thing is for sure, we are witnessing the fulfillment of prophecies in Scripture that told us we were going to eventually head to a one world government. A great deception is coming. We can count on it, and we have to return to the power of the one who put us here, the one who is going to have the final say.
I'm amazed. I'm so happy to know it's true.
It's true, and God created this world.
Yes.
And He's right here in the clouds above, close, not in an infinite universe. So good, right?
And I can't get over it. Made me cry.
Made me cry too.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ruth, give me a hug. Here we go.
I need it.
Pan tam był. Czy Ziemia rzeczywiście jest kulą zawieszoną w kosmosie?
Jest płaska. Tak jak oczekują i nie spodziewałem się co prawda tego pytania, ale zapewniam pana, że jest płaska.
It's the best flat earth proof right behind me. This is what you have to believe in if you believe in the ball. You have to believe that you're spinning faster than the speed of sound, that you're orbiting 66,000 miles an hour, which you can't even fathom that speed, while you're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, while the whole system is moving sideways at 1.2 miles an hour, right? And all of this is happening, okay? And how it started to happen is ridiculous, but while all of that is happening, this happens. Okay?
Oh, dude, you got some great images. I love it. He came prepared.
This is the Earth. This is the water at large bodies of water at rest lay flat.
So then all of a sudden the United States and Russia engaged in these high-altitude nuclear tests, and the United States calls theirs Operation Dominic, within which we have Operation Fishball. Look up the name Dominic from the late Latin name Dominicus, meaning of the Lord. Fishball was part of Operation Dominic. It looks like they are sending high-altitude nuclear bombs to test the fishbowl of the Lord, i.e. the firmament.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
I was talking with a gentleman from Belcom, and we were discussing the lie. Everything he was telling me was different from what we were being told was the truth. And at one point I asked him, I said, man, you guys, you lied about a lot, didn't you? And instantly he said, no, we didn't lie about certain things. We lied about everything. None of it was true.
And also, when we, against the orders of President Truman, when Alan Dulles brought in all the Nazi scientists and so forth, they went to two places. They went to CIA and they went to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which in our world we call it not a space agency. And as Kathy O'Brien has said so clearly, that's where the bulk of the mind control has been done.
The spacesuit has replaced the cowboy outfit of an earlier year. And the dream of a rocket trip to some distant planet has outdated the old-fashioned desire to fly a plane around the world.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. It gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
Check this out. This is from Taiwan to Los Angeles, and Hawaii's out there kind of in the middle. Right about here, there was a medical emergency. Where would you land if you were the pilot?
Hawaii.
Right. Or maybe go to Los Angeles. Instead, they went all the way up to Alaska.
What?
Why did they go to Alaska? The answer is because this is the route. Taiwan,
oh shit,
emergency, Alaska. Hawaii is all the way out here. This is the actual route that they take.
He has called them the Galactic Federation of Aliens, and he says President Trump is aware of the existence of these aliens and had been on the verge of revealing their secrets, he claims, but was asked not to do so by the Federation in order to prevent what he calls mass hysteria. Well, the retired general says the US and Israel have kept it from the public because, quotes, humanity isn't ready and the aliens don't want to reveal themselves until humanity can evolve, he says, and understand what space really is.
Because space is the world's newest warfighting domain. Space is a warfighting domain. The next warfighting domain.
Space is a warfighting domain.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. and the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven.